Peace and blessings, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, and what's going on? First and foremost, I pray that everyone tuning in, whatever time of day, whatever day and time you happen to tap in, that you are actually doing great, feeling great, and taking care of yourself. If you look at this video, you can see that I am slightly red. I had to turn my air conditioner off so that we can get clear audio for today's message. So it's hot, y'all. It's 90 degrees out here in these streets in Portland. Actually, probably 95, and it's probably about 90 in my house right now. But I feel like I have a message that God has either give me a perception to share about, not teach, to share on, or more importantly, just something that I wanted to share with y'all. So before I jump in, I want to say it has been a long time since I have done a live, since I've done a YouTube. And so I just want to acknowledge those who tap in to the channel, all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all. I probably don't say that enough, but I really, really do. You all continue to inspire me when I look at the numbers and see how many subscribers. I recognize that there's something, a word or two that is beneficial to the people that tune in. So just thank you. Those of you that tune into the podcast, I appreciate you for tuning into the podcast. Maybe you don't jump on the YouTube, but you listen to the audio. I appreciate you tapping in. With that being said, today's topic, y'all, is on parent advice. All right. And with us going back to school, well, not us, but our children going back to school, it has brought up a lot of feelings and emotions and all of the things that happen when the first day of school starts, with us as parents, and then of course our children. So I wanted to share with you all a little bit of a perspective and what I would consider kind of what I'm saying best practice, right? I'm not a scientist officially. I'm not a doctor officially. I'm not a certified parent specialist officially, but I do have lived experience. And sometimes lived experience is the best teacher, regardless of your PhD, your BS degree, and all those things. So here's what I will say. I'm going to start today's conversation with words and guidance from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I want to start with that, and then I'll share with you what made me, or what I feel like compelled me to go live and have this conversation today. So I'll start with my, hold on, y'all. Just trying to post so that people can tune in as they choose. So I'll start with what I witnessed today. So I was driving after dropping off my son to football practice, and I saw a brother at the MAX station with his son, who was probably 2 to 3 years old. And initially what I thought was the mother of the child was kind of standing next to them. But come to find out, based on, again, perception, because I don't know the backstory, never had a conversation. As they walked to the MAX station to catch the MAX, the woman continued to walk on the other side of the street, and the man and the son stood at the bus stop, or the MAX station, to wait for the MAX. And in that moment, I sat there and I looked and I said, there's a couple of thoughts that came to my mind. One, that's powerful, right? To see a father with their child. And not that it should be an abnormal thing, but in today's world, and in this world, and how they perceive not only Black men, but just men in general, there's always this perception that men don't take care of their children. So that imagery alone caught my attention, right? Without judgment, right? Positive, negative, indifferent. I caught that. I said, okay, wow, this brother is with his child. And then it began to, that thought I had began to put me on this track and this thinking of, sometimes just the little things are truly what help a parent out. And this is why I wanted to go live today. So that was the image, that was the situation that sparked my attention today. And I said, you know what? If nothing else, I feel like I have a piece of advice, suggestions, ways of engagement, things to do as a parent to stay involved, and more importantly, be engaged in your young child's life. Whether you are, like I said before, whether you are the sole custody, 50% custody, don't have any custody, barely see your child, whatever level that you have access to your children, these are going to be tips and suggestions that I think will help not only the relationship between the parent and the child, but the relationship between parent and parent. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This book, y'all, is from, let me get the date, Torchlight for America, 1993. Okay, 1993, a book written by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called A Torchlight for America. And if you understand what a torchlight is something that lights the fire, lights the light, keeps the light going, keeps the energy going. So a torchlight for America. So the way that he breaks this book down are in chapters, right? Chapter 1 is America is on her deathbed. Chapter 2, The Hiding Light. Chapter 3, Greed and Leadership, States of Mind. Chapter 4, Fixing the Public School System. Chapter 5, Rebuilding the Economy. Chapter 6, Developing America's Moral Backbone. Chapter 7, Ending the Healthcare Crisis. Chapter 8, A Vision for America. Okay, so this is kind of like a manifesto, if you will, to how America can solve all of its problems, right? In this little book right here. So I wanted to go to the section around establishing discipline via a parent-teacher partnership. And I wanted to speak on this or share these words because we are all experiencing the back-to-school fever, right? Many of our children, whether they're in public school, private school, homeschool, whatever the situation is, they are all returning back to school after the summer break. And we know the value and the understanding the value of the parent and teacher relationship. Now, there are parents that they may not say it out of their mouth, but they believe that the teacher is responsible for training and rearing their child, which is a false belief and a false understanding of how this thing called parent-teacher situation partnership goes, right? There's a responsibility on the parent, there's a responsibility on the teacher, and then there's a responsibility on the child, and then the responsibility on the community/village. So here are these words, all right? So this is on page 60, page 60 on, or in the book, Torchlight for America. Establish discipline via a parent-teacher partnership. Parents must be called upon to do their part in preparing their children so that the teachers can do their job. I'm going to say that again. Parents must be called upon to do their part in the preparing their children so that the teachers can do their job. Discipline begins in the home and is vital to the education process. Teachers should be charged with the responsibility of developing a partnership with parents to ensure that each child develops self-discipline. While parents cannot be excused from the ultimate responsibility for their children, it is clear that someone has to take the lead. Teachers who are present in the classroom with the youth on a daily basis are sometimes best positioned to take the lead. All right. So here's a piece around creating school safety. And I want to read this piece because today, I believe, there was a school shooting in Georgia. And I know some of the comments that I've read was people were shocked. School just started. How do we have a school shooting this early? You know, all the things. And I think it's important that we understand some of the causes to school safety issues, but more importantly, how to remedy it as it happens all across the country. So, creating school safety. Nearly half of all high schoolers, remember this is from 1993, y'all. Nearly half of all high schoolers are victimized by theft or injury each year. Creating jobs in the cities, gun control legislation, and a dope-free America will go a long way in making schools safe. Still, we need to do more to curb and guide the natural aggressive tendencies among young men. In the wealthy communities, the rich are able to channel their aggression of their young men into meaningful activities. Their youth have better athletic facilities. They go to summer camps. There are many leagues and team sports in which the young boys can participate. Let me say that again. I'm going to just read that whole section again because this is critical. This is huge. And you talk about Portland, right? We just talked about my city. Portland and East County and North Portland and then gentrification and all the things that also translates to limited resources and limited access, right? Accessibility to opportunities. So nearly half of all high schoolers are victimized by theft or injury each year. Creating jobs in the cities, gun control legislation, and a dope-free America, come on now, will go a long way in making the school safe. Still, we need to do more to curb and guide the natural aggressive tendencies among young men. In the wealthy communities, the rich are able to channel the aggression of their young men into meaningful activities. Their youth have better athletic facilities, they go to summer camps, and there are more leagues and team sports in which the young boys can participate. The government locally and nationally should place some focus on providing team activities and athletic facilities, in channeling the energy and aggression of our young men. This would minimize the need of some of our young males to engage in gang activity to exercise their manhood. This would help reduce the hostility that seeps into the school environment and disrupts the educational process. Basic. That's I mean, right there, that's as clear as it gets. So I want to pause there because that was the kind of layering the foundation of what I wanted to talk about today. All right. So parents. I'm going to say this. Coming from what society would label as a single mother. What is the definition of a single mother? Singly, handily taking care of the children that are under your care and your responsibility, period. There are things and there are situations that will transpire and come up in your parenting experience that will frustrate you, will give you cause for pause, will make you upset, will get you angry, will get you sad, depressed, all of those pieces that will come up as emotions in your parenting experience, right? You'll be in a situation where you feel like you've poured everything into your child, and your child still chooses to do what they want to do, right? So these pieces that I'm going to share right now are suggestions, keys, advice, principles, things that I feel like would impact the parenting process between the parent and the child, but also improve the process between parent and parent. Okay, so let me just say this. If you are a parent who does not have custody of your child, who only gets your child on a temporary basis, right? Or only gets your child one day a week or the week on, week off, whatever the situation is. Step one, or principle one, it goes a long way when you initiate, and I'm going to use this word initiate for the remainder of this conversation. Initiating things as a parent is very critical, not only to the success of your parenting, right? But it goes a long way to express to the child self-esteem, validation, appreciation, and love. When a parent initiates, right? So when you say to your child, hey, I'm going to pick you up from school today. Hey, I'm going to bring you to practice. Hey, I'm going to be at your recital. I'm going to be at your first basketball game. I'm going to be in the stands of your football game. I'm going to make sure you get your textbook, and I'm going to drop it off at the school. I'm going to bring you lunch on a Thursday just because I love you. That's initiation. Those little things go so far in a young person's life. And you and I know as adults, when someone does that for us as an adult, we know, oh, that person really cares about me. That person really loves me. So just imagine your 10-year-old child, your 12-year-old child, your 8-year-old child who just wants to know if the parent, man and woman, father and mother, right, whether they're together or not, that child just wants to know, does the parent love me? And there are small tokens of gestures that you may think are minimal, you may think are pointless, you may think don't matter, but they actually matter at the core of your child's persona, who they are, and their ego, and how they are shaping their views on this thing called life. I promise you. So the initiation of just like, hey, I'm calling you up. How you doing today? Not calling you up talking about why haven't you called me? Come on, y'all. Parents, we got to do way better than that. Our children are 9, 10, 11, and 12 years old. They just happen to get access to a cell phone because we decided to buy a cell phone for them, right? They don't understand cell phone and telecommunications etiquette. So to ask a 9-year-old and demand a 9-year-old and ask them the question of why haven't you called me when you're the adult, you're the parent. Call them. You're the adult. You are modeling the behavior that you want them to grow up into, right? So you can't hold them to an expectation that they, one, haven't understood, haven't learned yet, and two, that you're not even modeling them yourself. So that's the first step that I would say is the initiation. Parents, initiate your involvement, initiate your engagement, initiate your desire to want to be involved in their life, right? And if you're not the parent that has sole custody, if that child lives with the other parent and you get to pop in or pop out, for lack of better words, then those small tokens of, hey, I'll pick him up from school today. Don't worry about it. I'll pick him up, take him to dinner, and bring him home. Those small gestures go a long way when it comes to the sole provider of that child, right? And even if you have 50% custody, if your time is to pick up the child every Thursday after school, make sure they're fed. Make sure they don't come home to their house desiring and needing a meal. Because as a parent who is the sole provider or the main provider, that becomes frustrating because now, not only did you pick up the child, great, you saved me $10 in gas, but now I got to still figure out the dinner situation. So once again, you haven't really helped the load of the parenting on the child, or for the other parent, excuse me. So this is where I'm talking about initiation. Initiate. You're going to pick up the child? Great. I'm going to pick up your child. I'm going to pick up so-and-so for lunch. I'm going to take them to lunch, buy them a couple things, give them a couple dollars in their pocket. Boom. That is truly parenting. Parenting is not calling them every now and then on the phone and never visiting them. Parenting is not, oh, I check in every Sunday to see how they're doing, but you haven't seen them on 17 Sundays to see how they're doing, right? So again, sometimes we get overwhelmed on what it means to be a parent and what it means to really be involved and engaged in the child's life. And I want to just help you get rid of that myth and let you understand It's the small things that help with parenting. How do I know? Because I'm living it, I'm experiencing it, and I'm getting the feedback from it from my own child, right? I may be in the house all day working. I told you, y'all, it's 90 degrees out. I had to turn my AC off and I'm sweating. But I may be in the house all day working, right? And in my mind, I'm present, right? I'm in the house, I'm present. What do you mean? But if I don't ever take a moment to check in with my child to see how he's doing, give him 20 minutes, just a 20-minute conversation. He can talk about whatever he wants to talk about. Brazilian funk, Madden 25, whatever he wants to talk about, right? If I don't give him those few minutes, no matter how many days I'm at home in his presence while he's homeschooled and doing all the work that he's doing, if I don't check in with him and give him undivided attention, he sees me as not being present. So parents, as much as you feel like, well, they're in the house with me, I'm cooking and they're here, they're right here with me. I don't know how they can act like I'm not. Yeah. How much undivided attention are you giving your child? How much undivided time are you sitting down and just having them guide the conversation and not you inserting your own comments? Because my son had to check me the other day about this. He brought something to my attention, right? And I came with the whole like, well, you have everything that you need, so why would you want to buy that? I'm doing all that. He got so mad at me, y'all. He got so upset. And he was like, Mom, I said I wanted to buy this with my money. Why are you doing? He got mad. So the next day, which is today, he and I got to reflect on that. And we actually laughed about it, right? And he was like, yeah, Mom, you were stripping. I was like, yeah, you were upset. But we had a moment where I realized that he just wanted to share with me that when he got some money, this is what he would do with his money. It was not my job to be in parent mode and start correcting, dictating, teaching a lesson, doing all that I normally would do. That's not what that was about. It was about him expressing himself and sharing with me his own thoughts without judgment, right? Without my perception, my correction, and my direction. And so those are those moments, y'all, that help me and remind myself that sometimes your child just needs 20 minutes to just be them without the parent guidance and the nurturing and the shaping and the, well, you should do this instead of that. Like sometimes they just need to talk. And so that's what I mean, parents. You may be working from home. You may not be working. You may be able to have a household where someone is you have a partnership where the other parent is paying the bills, whatever it is, husband and wife situation, where someone's paying the bills and you're a stay-at-home parent. But being at home and not engaging with your children are two different things. Like being at home and engaging and being at home and not engaging are two different experiences for that child. And so it's important, back to the original principle that I brought up, was initiation. We have to initiate the engagement with our children. We have to initiate how we interact with them. And we got to remember that we are modeling what it means to be an adult to our children. You can't assume that they're already going to just figure it out through osmosis. Well, I show them, so they should figure it out. No. They are watching every aspect of our lives. And especially if you are in a household with one parent. Your children are learning how to deal with conflict through you. They're understanding how to deal with frustration through you. They're figuring out how to pay bills through you. They're figuring out how to drive a car, take care of a car, take care of a house, apartment, clean a house, all through you. So if you're modeling poor behaviors, poor habits, poor thought processes, poor thinking and decision making, they are going to not only emulate you, but they're probably going to take it to the next level because they got to watch you do it, if that makes sense. So we have to remember as parents, not only are we initiating the engagement with our children, but we're also modeling the engagement and modeling how to be an adult later on in their lives, right? So that is key. Those pieces are truly important. And I will say this to the parents as I wrap this up. Any parent that feels like, first of all, let me say this. And this is a whole nother topic, y'all. And I'm going to say it and I'm going to leave it here, and y'all going to get mad at me and be like, what is she talking about? But I'm going to say this. Women, mothers, we have a lot of power when it comes to this system, this government system, the court system, the child support system, the whatever, marriage system, the divorce, the system. We have a lot of power in how we navigate this. And I will encourage you to understand the power that you have. Not to say that you can't use your power, not to say you shouldn't use your power in certain situations, but we have to acknowledge the power dynamic that happens when it comes to women, and especially our Black men. And if you choose to abuse your power because you're so spiteful or you're so upset or you're so hurt, and so you let the system help perpetuate your hurt, that is a dangerous game to be involved in. I'm not saying that men need to be let off the hook. I'm not saying that men don't need to be, let me say, men/fathers don't need to be held accountable. They do. All that is said and true and needs to happen. And brothers need to step the hell up. Excuse my language, but they need to step up. However, we as Black women, we as women in general, mothers of children, have to understand our power and understand the dynamic that we have when it comes to the system that wants to put us and separate us from the fathers of our children. That is the natural instinct, should I say, of the system that we are involved in. Whether you were married, not married, child support, whatever the system is, right? So when we're careless about that, when we're careless about the power dynamic that the system yields to us, we can do a lot of harm, not only to the father of the children, but a lot of harm to the children themselves. So I think it's vital and very important that we understand and we separate our own personal emotions when it comes to parenting. We separate our own emotional attachment to the father. We separate our feelings. We separate our frustrations. We separate, whatever took place. If they cheated on us, if we cheated on them, all the things that play out in a relationship. It's important that we separate those feelings when it comes to parenting. Parenting and the relationship between the two adults are two separate energies, two separate things. They get convoluted very easily, but they are two separate things. And it's our job to understand the separation, right? Just because you did me wrong does not mean that you don't deserve to have a relationship with your child. If you haven't done nothing crazy, harmful, disruptive, not using drugs, if you ain't done none of that stuff, there should be really no reason that you don't have a relationship with your child. And as the mother, it is our job to make way. Now, let me say this too. Making way for the father to have a relationship with the child does not mean that we set everything up. Absolutely not. Making a way means that we don't provide a hindrance or a barrier in the pathway of you as the parent trying to build a relationship with that child. Back to the initiation. It is on you, parent, to engage with your children. And as your children get older, they will make sense of their own identity. They'll make sense of their own perception of you. They'll make sense of their own relationship with you. And they will make sense of how the situation played out. And they will begin to ask themselves, and don't get scared when they start asking you, why didn't you pick me up after school every day? Why didn't you take me to here? Why weren't you at my basketball game? Why weren't you at my football games? Why weren't you at my recitals? Why didn't you show up to my play? Why didn't you show up to my graduation? When the children start asking you those vital questions, you don't get to say, well, your mom said I couldn't do that. Like at some point, parents, you got to own up to your lack of involvement in that child's life. And so it goes both ways, right? Both parents got to be at some level of sanity, to understand that the relationship that they need to have is with the child, not with the parents. If the relationship has died down, if the marriage has died down, if the parents are no longer together, that is a phase that has come and went. But we got to understand that we are constantly and will never leave that child that we brought into this world. We are constantly in relationship with that child until we all expire or the child expires, whichever one comes first. So our best bet and our due diligence, and when we go into the scripture of the Bible, the Holy Quran, in any holy book, it talks about honoring thy mother and thy father. And the only way that our children can truly honor us is that we show up as the mother and thy father in their lives to show them the right way, the right guidance, the best way. And when I say right, it doesn't mean that we are right necessarily. It just means we are doing the best that we can in what we've been given with the knowledge that we know, right, at that time. So that's what I want to share today, y'all. You know, I think that as I sat down and began to talk, Allah guided me in different ways to cover this topic. And like I said, the word initiation is the biggest thing. You know, our babies are suffering. Our children in the society are suffering. A lot of it, you know, so many times we're like, well, it's children raising children. And I get that and I understand that. And we have to make conscious choices in our lives. And those choices are rooted in making the best decision for the child that we brought into the world. And we brought them into the world through an act, whether we were conscious of the act, wanted the act of sex, whatever that is, we brought them into the world. So now that they're here, give them the best shot at life. Give them the best opportunity to make sense of this thing called life in the best way, with the best examples, with the best folks around them, with the right spirit, the right love, the right energy, right? Two parents that maybe they're no longer together, but they have committed to pouring into the child and the children that they brought forth into this world. That is our obligation as a parent. I truly believe that. When you decide to bring life into this world, yeah, you can be selfish all you want, but you have an obligation from the Creator to slow down enough to take care of the seed that you brought into this world, to guide, to nurture, to empower, to motivate, to inspire. That is our obligation. And if we lack in any of those categories, we wonder why the streets are what they are. We wonder why our children buck up against us. We wonder why things take place in the way that they do. So I'm putting the onus back on us as the adults. We got to step up differently. We got to show up differently. We got to parent differently. And as my title says, I'm giving a parent advice from a single mother with a village. I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff I'm able to do if I didn't have a village that helped me raise my son. So this is a call out. At the end of this is the call out for all of us as parents. Step your game up, y'all. Step your game up. Stop using excuses. Stop using childhood trauma for the reasons why you're not showing up for your current childhood children. Your children are experiencing in childhood. And if you're stuck in your own childhood trauma, how in the heck can you give them anything different? Go get the help that we need. Take care of yourselves. Find a village that can support you, that can encourage you, that can pour into you. Because our babies need us now more than ever. All right, y'all? So that's the stream. That's the show today. I appreciate y'all tapping in. That whoever and whenever you listen to this, share this out. If there's any value to what I said, give it all praise to the Creator. If there's anything that you feel is harmful or doesn't jive with you or doesn't connect with you, throw it away. That is not of God. But I pray that there's something of good that I share with you today. And until next time, peace and blessings. Take care of yourself. These are the books that I'm referring to. Torchlight for America by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I didn't read from this, but my book, The Art of Living, you can get on travelingpillar.com or Amazon. All right. Peace, y'all.